Hello and welcome to Cheers to Fears, where we take horror films and turn them into drinking games. We're your two hosts, I'm Alex.
And I'm Tucker. Today we will be making a drinking game for Fried Berry, directed by Ryan Kruger. The movie is written by both Kruger and James Williamson. Fried Berry was suggested to us by RainbowFRIGHT. She's a good friend of ours in the horror community, and you should definitely check out her channel.
Fried Berry is about a deadbeat dad and a drug addict named Barry. One night, Barry gets abducted by aliens, and an alien takes over Barry's body. The alien then goes on a joyride as it encounters many adventures in the human world, such as sex and drugs. The alien, oblivious to what humankind is, goes on a wild trip, all while still not only being a better husband than Barry, but also being a better person.
For a Fried Berry drinking game, we will be discussing some spoilers, so just be aware of that. We will post the rules now on screen, just in case you want to pause our video, go watch the movie, and come back when you are done. With that out of the way, let's continue.
Well, the first rule is death, as always. You take a sip whenever somebody dies, and that came to a total of 3.
Yeah, one of them being Barry himself.
Who immediately comes back to life. If you want to say that, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we decided to count his... We decided to count it as a death.
Yep, doctors called the time of death.
Yeah.
Don't know how it gets more direct than that.
And then there was the random guy that was bleeding out, and the child abductor, I guess. Those are the 3 deaths that we
I think
counted.
his name's Daddy is what people call him as Daddy.
I think you're right, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the second rule that we always use is screams, cries, and yells. When you hear one, you take a sip. This movie gave us 21 sips in total.
And just most of this is honestly people yelling at Barry or crying over him for the most part.
Yeah, Barry is not the contributor of this rule pretty much at all. Maybe once or twice in the beginning.
In the beginning, yeah.
Before he gets taken over by the alien. But once the alien's in there, he has no emotions.
Almost no emotions, yeah.
Yeah.
On to the next rule. Rule number 3 is whenever drugs are seen or taken, you take a sip. And that came to a total of 7 sips.
Yeah, it's not as much as I thought. It mostly just took place in the beginning. There was some throughout, but for a movie called Fried Berry, I expect it to basically be the focal point. Wasn't quite the focal point, though.
Yeah, I feel like the main reason that it wasn't is because they mention drugs a fair bit, but you don't see them in some scenes.
That's true.
That I feel like that could be why.
Yeah. So if you want to maybe have a few more sips, you could count whenever they're mentioned too, but we decided not to for our drinking game. Moving on to rule number 4, it's whenever there's a sexual interaction. This happened 10 times in this movie.
To be honest, I'm surprised that there wasn't more looking back on it.
Okay.
People were not happy with regular Barry, but alien Barry, people were enamored by.
That's true. And honestly, it's more than I expected. When I watched the movie, I'm like, oh, fuck, he has sex a lot in this movie. Not just sex, but like any sexual interaction. And there was a lot more than I expected going into the movie. You are right, though. Once he became Alien Barry, a lot of people were into him.
We're very into him.
Yeah.
And I guess there's the one scene at the very beginning where Barry becomes an alien, which is kind of shocking to say the very least.
Yeah, that was the first shocking thing in the movie for me. Spoiler alert, I guess. We're in spoiler territory anyway. But he gets a probe stuck up his ass, basically. And, it's just a lot going on.
Yeah. Now on to the next rule, which is whenever it cuts to trapped Barry, you take a sip, and that came to a total of 7.
Yeah, and it kind of looks similar to when he was getting taken over by the alien. Like, the shot aesthetically looks similar. He's kind of trapped underwater in a way, or like
trapped under void. Like an empty void, like red water, something like that.
Yeah, there's different looks to it, I guess. But whenever that happens, you take a sip. And one thing I wonder is, do you think that he's actually able to see what Alien Barry is doing, or he's just kind of trapped in this void or under the water, like whatever you want to call it? Do you think he actually sees what the alien's seeing, or does he just see what is going on when we see the trapped Barry?
I have no idea, honestly. I feel like it'd be really interesting that regular Barry saw what Alien Barry was doing, because in all honesty, Alien Barry did basically nothing through the entire movie, and yet his wife loved him more.
Well,
he had to basically be completely like a void of a human, and his wife would like him more than she already does.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to say the very least.
Because he was more present, kind of. Like, he didn't say anything, but he seemed more present because he wasn't arguing, and like, apparently he was really good at sex, because every time he had sex, he was like, you could tell the alien enjoyed it when they were having sex.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, right. Yeah, he would woo, and the girls clearly had a good time. So
he wouldn't even do things like most of the time.
No,
he was a very starfish lover, I think the term is.
Yeah, that's true, but apparently it worked.
I guess so.
Moving on to rule number 6, it's whenever Barry helps somebody or does a good deed in general. This only happened 5 times in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like most of this was kind of luck.
Yeah, I agree.
Part. I know one specific example is when he sees a family feeding their baby, and then his wife takes him home and he's like, I should feed my baby because I guess that's what humans do.
Yeah.
And then his wife ends up loving him more.
Yeah. Or the scene where he impregnated that girl very fast, rapid birth basically, and then he ended up just knocking out her pimp who was abusive. I feel like that was just another example of him getting lucky, but it was a good deed nonetheless.
Yeah. I guess it can also kind of vary in intensity too. So for example, the one person who is having a heart attack, he just touches him, saves his life, and he's like, thank you so much for saving me. And the one guy who's bleeding out, he just gives him headphones and walks away, and he dies.
He was being nice to that guy. He gave him some closing music.
Yeah, he was being very nice to him. I mean, it wouldn't be the worst way to go. He could have done nothing.
Yeah. He was trying. That's all that counts.
Yeah.
Barry didn't even try. Alien Barry tried.
Moving on to the next rule is whenever a second language is spoken, other than English, you take a sip, which comes to another total of 7 sips. I guess it is worth noting that the movie is based in South Africa, so obviously there's going to be some other languages as opposed to just English. And usually it's Barry's wife speaking this other foreign language. I honestly don't know what it is, but it's a foreign language for sure.
Yeah, well, and there's subtitles for it, so
yeah, exactly.
It's obvious when it happens. Moving on to another rule that gave us 7 sips yet again, it's whenever Barry uses his powers.
So this is done in a few instances, such as him using his ability to make women rapidly give birth, or him flying, for example.
Yeah, and also we mentioned the heart attack, where he saves that guy from a heart attack. He uses his powers from that.
Yeah.
So there's a few instances where it doubles up, because he's using his powers for good. So just keep that in mind when you're playing the game.
On to the next rule, which is whenever children are mentioned or seen, you take a sip, and this came to a total of double 7 this time. It's 14 sips.
Yep. And this includes, I'll call him Child Barry.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and you might think it's weird. If you've never seen this movie, it's definitely shocking, but if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. And one thing to note about this rule is Alien Barry is a hell of a lot better with children than actual Barry is with his son.
Oh, definitely.
It's quite shocking, despite the alien not knowing what humankind really is. Just kind of learning as he goes.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll move on to the final rule to this drinking game. It's whenever you see the man with the black hat, and this gave us 3 sips. I'm not really sure what else to call him. He kind of makes random appearances, and I still don't really know what his role was. Like, he must have been symbolic of something.
Yeah, he was in some of, like, the Void Visions or something like that. He was in the beginning of the movie just randomly on the street.
Going like this, I think, covering his face, and then he kind of uncovered it, and he was a really wrinkly old guy.
Yeah.
But I don't really know what his purpose was.
I do not either. And that does it for the rules for this drinking game. The total number of sips we had in total was 84. This is the equivalent of drinking 3 standard 12-ounce cans, and that, of course, is based off our 30-sip per can scale.
Yeah, it was a pretty tame drinking game, all said and done. It would be a good one to do as a double feature if you watch this with another movie, pair it, and, you know, get a couple more drinks in you. It's mainly because 4 out of the 10 rules was just 7 sips, so it's single digits and pretty easy. It's not our easiest one, but it's definitely one of the easiest ones.
Yeah, I don't even remember what our easiest one is, but I'm pretty sure our easiest ones are closer to 75.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly anymore. We've done so many games,
yeah.
But definitely on the lower end of the spectrum.
So I guess the main thing to note about this movie is it would be under, like, not good movie category, but fun watch category.
Definitely entertaining, to say the least. Definitely a good one to sit down with a group of friends and kind of watch while having a few drinks and, you know, maybe poking fun at it or just having a good time watching it, because it is quite bizarre. And that's kind of what a lot of the best drinking games are for movies. I mean, like, they're kind of just random movies you don't need to pay much attention to, but you can kind of still know what's going on just by even having it on in the background kind of thing, because there's no huge plot points that you need to be engaged in to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like slasher movies, for example.
Yeah, I'd even argue that there's almost no plot in this movie. It's just you watch Barry just do whatever. The
plot is an alien takes over Barry's body and just goes on a joyride, like we said in the
Synopsis. Yeah,
Synopsis.
just does pretty much whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And this movie was interesting in the fact that it tried a lot of different film techniques, such as it did that classic early film aesthetic with an opening, such as this is rated R for restricted. I don't even know what it said exactly.
I think it was 18 plus.
Yeah, something like that. And it had an intermission too.
Yeah, that threw me off guard. Like, I didn't expect that at all. That was interesting choice. Not that I was mad at it. It was just, it was there. Like, I didn't think, I was indifferent to it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess just talking about the film itself again and how we thought about it. It was kind of a mix of uncomfortable, awkward, funny, while still being entertaining. I don't know, it's very confusing to describe.
Yeah, uncomfortable is such a broad, net, I feel, to use, because it could be uncomfortable in the way, so for example, Barry in the very beginning, how he gets abducted and probed. Or it could be uncomfortable in the fact that Barry as an alien doesn't know how to interact with people.
Yeah, very unsettling too in some instances where he's wide-eyed and just not blinking at all and kind of jerky movements and stuff. It's uncanny valley, and you don't know how to feel about it, you know? And just stemming off that as well, it felt awkward and funny at the same time when Alien Barry, I should say, was trying to interact with people. For example, he's at that club scene and he got offered a pill or maybe a couple pills, I don't remember how many it was, but then he pretty much takes all of them. Well, no, he takes the one and I think he starts liking the feeling or something, so he's hunts her down again and goes and grabs them all and just downs the whole fucking bottle or whatever she had. And
I think it was just so baggy,
baggy or whatever. And so clearly he doesn't know the consequences of doing that. But it was kind of funny just seeing him interact, not knowing what was right and wrong, and trying to learn as he goes too.
Yeah, and he was just sweating in the club, he was disgusting.
I mean, he's still in a human body, so you got to keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
Because taking that many pills, I'm surprised he didn't die.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised too. I guess it is worth mentioning at this point, throughout the entire movie, pretty much, Alien Barry doesn't know what's going on. No matter wherever he is, he's just I guess something's happening. I don't know. And so he, for one example, he's in the club, downs the pills, then goes off, has sex with a woman, and goes back outside. He basically didn't control any of that besides the pills. The woman's just come along with me, and he's okay. Yeah. And then a prostitute takes him away, has sex with him, has a kid. So almost none of this is on him.
No, I think a lot of it, he was doing for the drugs, for instance, he was doing them, and then it made him feel good, so he kind of thought, oh, this feels good, I'm gonna do more. And it's kind of the same thing as with the sex. He put himself in situations that made him feel good, he thought, no matter how harmful it was to his body, or he didn't think anything of that because he doesn't know any better, being an alien. And I feel the actor did a really good job of portraying himself as an alien, an alien in his body, just because of how clueless or I don't know, he just wasn't. It was believable that you didn't know what he was thinking or what he was doing, and as an audience member watching it, it felt genuine, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And even the conversations he gets himself into, where he's talking, he'll kind of just repeat back what the people said to him in the first place.
Yeah.
What kind of music you into, man? Into oldies or newbies? Can I guess? Oldies. I love the oldies, man. Love the oldies. Newbies. I love the newbies too. Don't get me wrong. I also love the newbies. You're down and don't throw it.
Or for example, in the hospital scene where the other crazy guy tells him, he sends a message to Barry to tell to the other guy that's picking him up. He repeats it verbatim, tell whatever his name that, couldn't make it.
Hurry up, man!
Where's Ronald?
Tell Lawrence, Ronald couldn't make it.
Well, come on, get in, man, for God's sake. Get in, we go. Get in.
And that's just all he knows how to do to converse, and it somehow gets him through, like, he passes through these conversations without the people thinking anything much of it.
I guess, final notes, the cinematography I thought was really well done. I didn't see a budget or anything from the movie. I don't think it would have been like anything like a Hollywood movie. Obviously, it was
Probably
filmed
not.
in like South Africa.
I know it stemmed from a short film just on YouTube, so it couldn't have been a huge budget, but...
Alright, Tucker, what did you think of Fried Berry?
So, I'll start off by saying it's not a good movie in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Like, you don't watch it for the plot, really, but that being said, it was a super fun movie to watch. Like, it's so bizarre and, like, you know, it's just kind of, yeah, bizarre is the best way to describe it, I think. And, like, there's a lot of shock value involved with it, which I love seeing in a movie, and it did a lot of things differently that you don't see in many other movies. And, yeah, just the actor did a great job portraying the alien Barry, and, yeah, overall it was just a really fun movie to watch, and it would be a film that I go back and rewatch, probably with a group of friends. I don't know if I'd watch it on my own again, but it was a fun time regardless.
Yeah, I'd say that pretty much sums it up. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie to just kind of watch and turn your brain off to.
Exactly, yeah. Turn your brain off is perfect for this movie. And speaking of turning your brain off, I feel like that leads perfectly into our award ceremony, where we award one not-so-lucky nominee, the Darwin Award. This award goes out to a character who made a stupid decision that resulted in them getting killed, somebody else getting killed, or simply resulting in something bad happening that could have easily been avoided. This award can also be given to a character who is just plain dumb. Here are the nominees.
Today's first nominee is Barry for ruining his life with drugs and for neglecting his child.
The only other nominee we have today is Daddy for kidnapping Barry. Barry is an adult that can overpower Daddy, escape, and report him to the police.
And the winner is Daddy. We don't know why he went out of his way to kidnap Barry, as he does not fit his criteria of victims.
And with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed our look into Fried Berry, suggested to us by RainbowFRIGHT. If you end up playing the game alongside the movie, or if you have any other feedback or suggestions, let us know in the comments below. Also let us know in the comments what your favorite moment from this movie was.
Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on next week's episode, where we are going to be making a drinking game for the editor. If you want to check out our most recent video, click on the box on the top right, or if you want to see a playlist of all the drinking games and movies we review, click on the box below it. Thanks for tuning in, and this is us saying
Cheers to fears.